Yeah.
But we're going to get Forrest Ant's opinion on this. So, Ant, first of all, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here. I hope you're doing well. Now, don't worry, it's not been 20 hours. But welcome to the Dave and Jay show.
You're on my thunder now. I mean,
he's forgotten everything. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
You know me. You know me. It'll all come back.
It's coming back slowly. So let's hope it does come back.
Recall,
Well, let me ask you, now starting 11s. Obviously, everybody's got a different opinion. Someone's probably thinking, "Oh, Jay, shut up! You're an idiot, mate. You haven't got a clue." Whereas others might be actually agreeing, about my starting 11. Obviously, as Mark points out and very correctly points out, Gibbs White also an injury issue is there as well there for the England under 21s, and obviously McKenna, he's got a knee strain, so he could be out for, I would say, 6 weeks. If it's as bad as we think it is, and I think Ryan Yates had that same problem. I'm tempted to say before the Notts County game where he got injured again. I think that was the issue, but obviously, that's 3 big losses there: Gibbs White, Dennis, and McKenna. McKenna and Gibbs White really the bigger losses because we haven't seen much of Dennis. But let's say when you've got a starting 11 with all those players fit, who for you starts, and also what formation are you going to go for? Because I'm interested to see if you keep back 5.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm 100% Steve Cooper. I'm a bit concerned about this lack of signing a contract because the excuse was always, "Oh, I'm too busy." Well, we've had a 2-week break now, so there's no excuse for not signing that contract if he was just too busy, So I'm a bit concerned about that, but I'm 100% Steve Cooper. If I could ask him a question, it would be, are you willing to adapt your formation? Because what works in the Championship won't necessarily work in the Premier League. And I strongly believe that we need a back 4. And I was interested in what he said about Lodi, because Lodi comes from Atletico Madrid, working under one of the most defensively astute managers in the history of the game. He played left back, not left wing back, left back. So his position is left back. Nico Williams, all his career, right back, not right wing back, right back. Okay, I believe if you buy players who are playing well in the position, that's the position they should be playing. So I'll get round to it. Henderson in goal. Regarding his distribution, what people often forget about goalkeeper's distribution, he's got to have people to distribute the ball for. And if you've not got someone, he said he loved Mangala because Mangala always came and showed for him and he could pass to him. If you've not got the people to pass to, it really affects how you distribute the ball. Yeah? Okay. I'm getting like Dave, long-winded.
Go for it, Ant.
We are, aren't we, Dave?
Yeah, we're all right, mate. It's the best way to be in life, Ant. You know what I mean? Use all that breath that we're given, mate.
So, Henderson in goal, obviously. Left back, Lodi. Right back, Williams. 2 centre-backs, Nia Carty and McKenna. Yeah? Middle 3. Lewis O'Brien. I agree, Dave, 100%. And that would be another question. Steve, why have you not played Lewis O'Brien? I can't understand it.
It seems un-Cooper-like. This is something I've said. I think some of these decisions don't seem like decisions that he's making, which is odd to say, but it doesn't seem like it for me.
Yeah,
it's
because
odd.
he is such an obvious benefit in that midfield, So, okay, I won't go on much. So, O'Brien and Mangala, absolutely. Just in front of them, Morgan Gibbs-White. Jono, again, in his proper position on the right wing. That's where he should be playing, in my opinion. Left wing, I would go with Dennis. Dennis for Watford was magnificent on that left wing. And middle, Taiwo.
Okay.
Now, come on, argue with that. I dare you.
No, I don't think I can. I mean, I know that people are saying about Taiwo and everything that's going on. And, to be honest, I think with the Fulham game.
Give the guy a chance.
Well, I mean, he's still got 2 goals and however many. He's not really had that many starts. So
exactly. And Forest fans have got to understand we're not in the Championship winning every game. That's not going to happen. We're on 4 points. That's crap. but with 4 points off Newcastle, we're in 10th place. 4 points.
But equally, though, there was 2 games I think we could have got 3 points each from. And we have to look at that as well, because it's okay us going, we've got this many points and, you know, we're not that bad, or we're not as bad as this person. And because it's when people get me and they go, and they're all saying it on Facebook and stuff, in a serious way as well. Oh yeah, well at least we're not as bad as. I mean, you can't compare yourself to that.
Right.
We've got to aim high. We've got to aim higher than that.
You were at Everton, weren't you, Jay?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
I was at Everton. Would we have conceded that goal if Niakate was there? I don't think so.
No.
What's
so
Everton?
Fans have got to be patient. I'm even interrupting Dave now. They've got to be patient. Fans have got to be patient and realise this is not our team. That team that started against Bournemouth and Fulham is not our team. You've got Niakate, you've got Mangala, you've got Emmanuel Dennis, we've got Freuler who could come in. That middle three I had, Freuler could come in because he is a fantastic football player. You know, and we've seen him play against Manchester City and Fulham, I think. You know, give the guy, and also he was playing. I love Ryan Yates, biggest fan, but he was playing with Ryan Yates, not Oro Mangala. You know,
Ryan Yates can't start for me, and I'm not saying that because I'm not jumping on the Slater train for any player, because I'm not a believer in slating players, going in for them, because I know some people do, and I know some people actually like to hear that. Weirdly, I think within the fan base, and you know, if you don't like people, if you like people going out and just going out for players after a game, if they've played bad and just completely going for them, feel free to unsubscribe.
Out there that make their living off just being negative.
And pundits as well. There's pundits that go and do it. Your job is not to go out there and try and destroy someone's living and their job, because that's what it is. It's a job. They give 6 days a week to it. And I just want to say as well, what Steve Cooper sees on the training pitch, you don't see. So people that are going, why is he picking Jono every week? He hasn't done this, this, and this. Arguably, Cooper's not playing Jono in what I would assume is Jono's best position from what I've watched. When I watched him against Belgium, he came up against someone like Jan Vertonghen, who, yes, is, you know, an older player, but he had Yannick Carrasco watching him, you know, Kevin De Bruyne, Axel Witsel. He got past all 4 of them, and then and got an assist for Kiefer Moore, who, by the way, I would love to see at Forest, Kiefer Moore, as much as I don't like him for that night. You know, in that horrible, horrible moment where I was very much nearly in tears. He's a very good player, and I think he's a massive, big guy. Must be 6'5" or 6.
Yeah,
he's fantastic. And I think you're right. And I think as much as I do like Ryan Yates, he's homegrown. He brings a good spirit to the club. You know, he's very positive, ambitious, cares a lot about Forest. You know, people that think these players don't care and they don't try, that's not the case. These players will go home.
He wouldn't be vice captain otherwise.
No, but he'll go home and beat himself up about the game.
The captain and the
we all
vice
know
captain.
Yates. We all know how much Yates loves the club. We all know that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's in dispute.
You know, and I think that I mean, you know, picking your best 11, I do think it depends on formation. Personally, I mean, I was on this Olympiakos thing the other night. I can't talk Greek, Ant. I could say I said to him I'd seen the Guns of Navarone, but that was about as much Greek as I knew.
I'm surprised you didn't say it's all Greek to me at some point.
You know, I was like, I knew about. I told them I'd read the Iliad and the Odyssey, but that was about as much as I knew. But I mean, the best 11 I picked then was with a 5 at the back, and this is with everybody fit. And I went Dean, Joe, Musa, Scott, Nico, Renan Loddy, Lewis, Orrell, Morgan, Taiwo, Brennan. But if I'm going 4 at the back, right, I'm going Dean, Nico, Moose, Scott, Renan. Then I'm going O'Brien and Mangala. That's 6. I'm going Morgan because I think Morgan's got an X factor.
Same as mine so far, Dave. Don't spoil it.
No. To me, Morgan was so close to making it 2-0, you know, putting Brennan through against Fulham, and some other little bits and bobs didn't come off, but they will come off at some point, right? I want Brennan out wide because I think that's where Brennan's at his best. Get Brennan as a winger. That's what Brennan loves doing. He did it for Wales. Rob Page front page isn't obfuscating by, having Brennan playing weird stuff. And that's not to decry what Steve's doing. As I say, although I would say the only thing that Steve has puzzled me with is not picking Lewis O'Brien up, but I think we're all agreed on that. And Steve would probably look back and probably say, well, you know what? I slightly did miss a trick because Lewis came on and stuck it up at him by playing so well when he
Changed
came on.
The game, yeah.
I want Brennan out wide, Morgan in the middle doing his box of tricks. I like Emmanuel Dennis out on the right, out on the left, cutting down on his right foot. I saw him at Grimsby, and it's only Grimsby, so there is that qualification and what I'm about to say. But Emmanuel Dennis,
still got to work hard. Still got to work hard though, even against Grimsby, right? And people.
And then I think actually one thing that we are now all agreed on, and I saw it on Gary Baldy Red podcast, I've seen it on lots of other stuff, is that we need a centre forward and a focal point up front. And I think Taiwo, slowly but surely, I don't think he's tearing up any trees yet, but he's getting there, is doing that up front. And I tell you what,
Dave, your team's exactly the same as mine.
Yeah, but I think, Ant, what I would like to do is I'd like to know more about Loic Bade. He's an enigma at the moment. We don't know about Loic Bade.
And with that team, sorry, Dave, but with that team, look at our bench.
Yeah.
Some great players to come on our bench. You've got Freud to come on. You've got Bade to come on. You've got Jesse Lingard to come on.
Well, Jesse Lingard.
You get Yatesy to come on.
Yeah. Sorry. I tell you what, Yatesy, making my assumptions about Ryan from where I'm sitting, and I don't know Ryan, but I know he's total heart, he's total commitment. He loves the club. And when we're talking about managers seeing stuff on training grounds that we don't see, I think when Ryan got his start with Forest and he got put in the first team, I think that's because he really impressed Martin O'Neill and especially Roy Keane on the training ground. If Roy Keane really rated Ryan Yates, and I think he bullied maybe in his Keaney way to Martin O'Neill to put Ryan Yates in, right? So if Roy Keane sees something in a player, we all have to kind of take note, I think. So if Ryan Yates, to me, Ryan Yates won't start against Leicester, but let's not write Ryan Yates off at all. Ryan Yates came off the bench at Everton, and he took us further up the field, and he had shots, and he was superb. The only thing I would say about the Leicester game is that Leicester, to me, have got a glaring weakness. They've got a wound that is weeping and festering, and it's free kicks and corners. And you know what? Cheku Kouyaté at corners, and maybe Yatesy. So maybe Steve will think we can hit Leicester at corners and free kicks because they're so.
But
honestly,
are they players we should be bringing on if we need to, rather than starting?
I don't know. To be honest, Ant, I think Steve might look at Leicester, and this is the adaptability that we're talking about in formation and 11. While we're all saying we want a settled 11 and we want to know our best 11, and Steve wants to know our best 11, that best 11 might be a thing for Leicester City. It might be a different thing for Aston Villa, and then it might be a different thing at Molineux the following Saturday after that.
Definitely.
And then at the Amex. And I think if Forest can have a sort of a default 11, but then, subtly adjust and tweak depending on what they perceive as weaknesses in the opposition, then that is when we're getting into a better situation than we are forced to be in now. We're not chosen that. Well, in a way we've chosen it, but with the number of people who've gone out and the number of people who've come in, this jigsaw, it's still in the box all jumbled up.
And Forest fans also need to get over this loan players business. They're gone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
we need to get over it. I know we keep saying, Keenan this and Jed that. They're gone.
Gone.
I just want to say as well, I don't think, and I still think to this day, as much as we all love Keenan Davis, and I like Keenan Davis as well, by the way, rated him. Obviously, there's the injury-prone stuff, and that's, of course, an unfortunate side to him. But I don't think he's the player that we need actually at Forest. I don't think
Jay, you're right, because we saw him do a fantastic job for us, bullying championship defenders.
Exactly.
We didn't see him bullying the Liverpool player, Van Dijk. Not that he's doing very well at the moment, but you know what I mean? It was.
Yeah.
We've got to have a strike. And I think you look at how, and I know this was the West Ham game. I know things have changed. You'll notice that Niakate and Mangala played both of those games, by the way, when we won and got a draw. So the games we got points in, Niakate and Mangala were there. We've not got a point since, have we? So this is my thing. I think that Awoniyi, I think he bullied Kurt Zouma. I think he made Kurt Zouma scared. And I think, Kufau, everybody in that West Ham defence, they looked scared. And for me, and as Mark says, he started in 3 and scored in 2. I think you've got to start a number 9 every week, which is crazy to even think we have to suggest that.
Can I just come in on Taiwo? What you also have to remember is that Taiwo was not very far away from making it 3-3 against Fulham.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was before Lewis scored or after Lewis scored, but Taiwo gets his head on one at the far post, and he's not far away. He's a bit unlucky. That goes in 3-3 against Fulham, and I'm not saying we're all, heading, towards the promised land. The conversations might be a little bit different with a point against Fulham. So don't think we're that far away with certain people. I think as a collective, we've still got a way to go. But I tell you what, did anybody see there was an interview on the Forest TV with Taiwo and Emmanuel Dennis?
Yeah.
And I saw, I tell you what, they were lovely lads. They did make me laugh. Yeah. I saw two lads really happy.
It endeared me to them without
friends. Yeah, long-term friends.
They were having the bants, and the two of them looked really, really happy to be Nottingham Forest players. Now, that to me, I know it's just a little vignette and it's not the whole picture, but if you've got happy players, right, relaxed players who feel welcome, feel wanted, and feel valued, then bad results will. I've always said. I mean, I ran teams in Bournemouth for 17 years, and we won a few bits and bobs. We had some bad times, but we won a few bits and bobs here and there. And I always said, a happy team will beat a more talented team.
And what is Steve Cooper's probably biggest asset? Is creating that togetherness.
He's a people person. And I tell you what, Ant, if any of us three were really, really down in the dumps, right, and we were kind of, in despair, and we just happened to bump into Steve Cooper, I would guarantee you, half an hour later, we'd all of us be in a better frame of mind. He's that kind of guy. Brian Clough would love him.
Yeah.
Right. Brian Clough would adore Steve Cooper. I looked at, I think if Brian Clough's looking down, and he's the greatest of them all, he's the greatest they'll ever be.
Yeah.
The greatest. And he would be looking down, and I think his 3 favourite managers at the moment, he'd like Klopp and he'd like Pep because they're great coaches in charge.
But play nice football as well.
Yeah. But I think he would look down and he'd look at Graham Potter as a really good guy. He'd love Eddie Howe, and he'd really love Steve Cooper because Brian had a sort of an aura that he projected to the world of being, a bit eccentric and a bit tyrannical at times. Nobody was better to a player in a bad moment than Brian Clough. I've been lucky enough to speak to Forest players of that generation, right? Very lucky. And I said, this person told me that if you had a good game, he'd be on at you. Yeah. Don't get carried away. Don't have a big head. Who do you think you are? But if you had a shocker, right, he'd be arm around it and he'd say to it, you know what, you're a far better player and you'll have better days than that, right? And I think Steve Cooper has this personality where he's relatable. He's relatable to us in the stands, but that's why we all love him. He's relatable to his players. He's relatable, I think, to the administrators and I mean, he's the guy. He comes out to the reception in the car park. The Forza Garibaldi lads are sorting banners out. Next minute, he's telling the Forza Garibaldi lads what an amazing job they're doing. The Forza Garibaldi lads are speechless that the manager of Nottingham Forest has gone and built this rapport with them, which previous managers have never even sought to do.
Exactly, yeah.
Can
I just quickly go back to Tyro? I have been astonished at there are a lot of idiots on Twitter, we know that, but like the negativity aimed towards Tyro. The guy's hardly been, he's played 3 games, scored 2 goals, and as the point that Jay made, I wanted to pick up on, is that West Ham game, I watched him against Kurt Zouma, who is a big lad. And I remember thinking to myself, God bloody hell, he's bullying Kurt Zouma. So that guy, give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Do you know what, Ant? Can I just be a bit sarcastic? I would say that Taiwo was catnip to Kurt Zouma.
I just want to say I don't endorse any animal abuse jokes, by the way, Dave. So if we get demonetized now, I'll know exactly why. You'll be picking up the bill, my son. That'll be 36p, please.
He offered Kurt Zouma to pick up litter, but Kurt didn't want to.
Oh,
God, no. Right. Dave's digging himself a hole, so I'm going to take charge of this one. Now, I just want to say, and I think, Dave, don't you dare. I think Awoniyi is going to come good. I think he's going to do well. I think you've got to play him, though. If he's in a momentum, which I would say, obviously, regardless of the result, I'd say he got a goal and he nearly got a second. Play him. You've got to play him. And also, Forest need to realise that there's more dangers in a Fulham team and other teams than just one player. I think that people just didn't look at. I think it was Reed in the middle.
Paulinho,
exactly. Yeah. But this is it. We looked at Mitrovic, and he, for me, was lucky to not get a yellow card because we saw what he was doing all game. And he really annoys me. But he's one of the top scorers in the league. Obviously, Haaland's way up there, but 6 goals. So looking at some of the comments, Dor on Couture, good to see. Oh, and I know he's put a Welsh flag there. And Dor hates it. Dor hates that I'm a full-time Welshman now. So Imar O'Heed, young Dor. But after the shocker of England, in fact, even before all the shockers with England, I was Wales. So have it. Full-time Wales now. And I'll be going again in February. So on the boys. I love Martin Sheen. Always love Martin Sheen.
Boyles.
Yeah, Boyles. Yeah. And I've got. Do you know what I've got just to make Dor really, really happy? Well, look at this. I've got my Spirit of 58 Wales hat. So, Dor, you can say what you want.
Jamie, who gave you that? Was it Ivor Hall Church?
Yeah, stop it, you. Yeah.
You look lovely in it as well, Jay.
Oh, cheers, mate. I'm going to have to... Wait, let me put it on over my headphones. Look like this. Let's see if I can... Which way we're going like that? Look at this. There we go, lads. Look at that.
Auntie's off to Spike Island to see the Stone Roses, mate.
Hey, Stone Roses. Yes.
I love a bit of Stone Roses, Dave. Come on, you know this right now.
You've never heard of Stone Roses, you young whippersnapper.
Sally Cinnamon. This is what we're going for.
You don't listen to classical music. You can't fool us.
Oh, really? Is that how it is now? Okay. Look, I'm trying to get this bloody bucket out on. It's just not working, is it? Someone gave it to me outside of a cafe. There you go. So, I just want to say, there you go. Spirit of 58. If you're a Wales fan, get yourself some of that. Now, obviously, international performances were brilliant, as me and Dave kind of touched on earlier. And for me, it showed why you shouldn't strike off players like. And I genuinely don't get it. And I've tried not to get too involved in Forest forums because after the Fulham game, I did. And it's like a Brexit tackled a couple of people. Like I just thought, you know what? You are talking rubbish. I don't usually respond to it anymore because I used to be awful for it. But then I thought, you know what? I'm going to leave it. But I just said, just shut up. You don't have a clue what you're on about. You're talking absolute rubbish. But it's true because half the stuff they said, I know for a fact isn't true. And Claire, don't talk about my music tastes are brilliant, by the way. So I just want to clear that one up. Dave will vouch for that, won't you, Dave? But seriously, though, I think for me, the likes of Brennan Johnson, who people have just been slagging off for weeks and weeks and weeks, is going to come good. You've got to look at that. You've got to look at the game. And it's not just the Belgium game. It's the Poland game. They didn't win. I think they were unlucky not to get a goal because of the amount of cheating that was going on with the diving situation. But I'm telling you, I just think that if he's played in the right place, you're going to be able to exploit that pace. Exactly. He's going to be able to use the pace. And it's not just the pace. He's not just running. He's got skill as well. I don't know if any of you saw it, but Yannick Carrasco is one of the, I would say, Atletico's best players. And I think obviously KDB, obviously De Bruyne, there's no question of how good he is. Axel Witzel's a decent midfielder as well. And you've got Jan Vertonghen, who's brilliant. They all he passed them all. Do you know what I mean? This is just a young 21-year-old lad, 22-year-old lad.
And that cross
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't tell me that wasn't one of the most phenomenal crosses.
A beautiful thing to behold.
And when I tell you the Wales fans and the people I was sat with went absolutely crazy, it was seriously like nothing you've ever seen. And do you know what? Watching a team that is so good, glad to go to the World Cup. Like, as England fans, we've become accustomed to just going to the World Cup this year, going to the Euros, not really a bother. Let's just go and let's see how we do at the World Cup. These guys, they've not been since, the 60s? And when they got to the World Cup, it was a celebration before they'd even gone there. And I think we take it for granted often, where we actually are. But this is, just, Wales. It went from, someone told me 500 fans going to watch them to 3,000 in Belgium. 3 bloody thousand.
He's not even Welsh.
And well,
this is it. He was born and bred in Nottingham. He's not.
He is, but obviously, family.
I actually qualify. I'm not sure if I get citizenship because I spent a year living in Aberystwyth and played for the Aberystwyth.
No, that's.
I played for the Aberystwyth Uni First team. Right,
Dave's a Wales fan as well. Basically, that's what he's trying to tell us.
I was when I was over there for a year. I wasn't Dave Asprey. I was Di Asprey.
You don't even have to go to Wales. You just have to watch an episode of Harry Seacombe, and that'll do.
Probably come. Actually, it's probably come, mate, or Hinterland. But I'd say I was Di Asprey, but then I thought they might be wanting me to kind of pass on, by saying please Di Asprey. I don't know. I can't remember.
I switched onto YouTube last night to watch Wales. Was it against Poland last night?
It was, yeah. It was, yeah.
And it was all in Welsh. What? Brennan Johnson.
But when my dad was saying the same thing to me, he said, Jay, I can't watch this Wales game. It's all in Welsh. And I went, Dad, but this is it. Mute your TV. Put some Stone Roses on and watch a bit of football. This is what I'm talking. Or put a bit of Welsh music on.
Amy, let's just come back to Brennan, right?
Manic Street Preachers. They will.
The thing about Brennan is, and I think we have to get away. A lot of people in life these days seem to want like instant, short-term gratification. They want 90 minutes of Brennan doing Brennan stuff, right? Now, it isn't humanly possible for Brennan to do 90 minutes of Brennan stuff, but 3 or 4 minutes of Brennan stuff can make a big difference. It did do for Lincoln. It did do for Forest. He's having to work harder to find his moments. He's scored twice. He could easily have had another goal against West Ham with a beautiful finish where he was really unlucky. I think he was the width of a pair of shorts away from scoring. So, with Brennan, I think what I try to do, and I'm not saying I'm any perfect human being, far from it, but I tried to kind of put myself in the mind of a young guy of 21 in the toughest league on earth, trying to make his way. And it's really difficult. And the people who are piling in, I'd like to say, okay, go and swap places with Brennan and have 30,000 screaming blue murder.
Not only that, Dave. To be able to do something with the ball, you've got to be given the ball in the right position. Yeah. And people, if they actually watched Forest playing these games, would see that Brennan's hardly been given the ball.
Yeah. I think, Ant, it's a compliment to Brennan, if you like. And he's kind of made a rod for his own back, Brennan has, because he was so outstanding last year in goals and assists, and he won the Young Player of the Year award, that the other 19 would have looked at Forest, and everybody studies everybody these days, even down to Marcelo Bielsa having, gun emplacements at Derby and all this kind of stuff, right? And they will have studied Nottingham Forest and said, what is Nottingham Forest's most dangerous weapon? And based on what they saw last year, it was going to be Brennan Johnson. So Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp and, the rest, how do we neutralise Nottingham Forest? And they're such great coaches with such great players. They can go about doing it far better than the teams in the Championship. So
it's easier to neutralise him when he's out of position, right? Much easier.
I can't take you seriously with that.
Right, don't say that. That's rude. That no, but seriously, no, I'm offended by that. But no, I think it's easier to neutralise him if he's being played in the wrong place. It's the same with every player. If you put KDB in defence, it's going to be easier to get past him. But I mean, from what I would assume anyway. Yeah. But when you talk about the 3 or 4 minutes of Brennan, we saw that 5 or 7 minutes of Fulham won them the game, So this is what we have to realise as well. as a team, you have to play consistently for 90 minutes. But if you play excellently for 10 minutes, you get 3 or 4 goals. Getting 3 goals in 4 or 5 minutes is not impossible. Getting 2 goals in 3 minutes isn't impossible. We saw it at Leicester. You know, we can do that. We're capable of playing good football where we can win games and go and score loads of goals. We can do that. We can 100% do that. For me, I think there needs to be a formation change and a couple of things come in. But I know that Ez wants to give his opinion as well. And it's good to have Ez back as well. I've not spoken to him for ages. So Ez, welcome.
There he is.
How are you doing?
Easy.
Yeah, and I've been enjoying listening to you guys. And I agree with a lot of what you've been saying, to be fair, especially about Brennan. I've always said, and I'll stick to saying, he is our best. Even with all the signings we brought in, he's our number one. He's our superstar. And you saw against Belgium how he treated. He stepped up levels that people probably wouldn't have expected from him, and he's done it, seamlessly almost. What's been going on in the Premier League, and you guys have all alluded to it, is that he's not been getting the chances, and I've got my theories as to why that is. But you're right, we're stepping up a level, and because he's not performing week in, week out, he seems to be one of the ones getting the flack, and he doesn't deserve it. He's one of the best lads we've got. We've got some great lads at the club. The fact that he still lives with his parents, he's probably close to a millionaire now. He's not far off. He's got a fair few quid in his bank, and he still lives with his mum and dad. He's a down-to-earth lad. I don't think he'll take notice of any of the crap that's been going on. It's just a shame that it has affected their family in one way or another. But we've got to ignore the boo boys because it's going to happen, isn't it? It's not. What was it? How far are we into the season? 6 weeks, 8 weeks into the season?
31 games left and 8 months.
There's still like 90 points to fight for.
Exactly.
I think people need to now look at the reason that, that people play football. It's because they enjoy it, and if you get the opportunity to go out there and get paid to do it, you're going to do it, right? And if you can do it for the club that you love and have don't misunderstand this. Brennan Johnson loves Forest. It's his team. It's his team. He's grown up playing for this club. His dad's played for the club. You know what I mean? His dad loves the team. His dad loves everybody here, and his mum's the same. All of his family are the exact same. They all love Forest. Do you know what I mean? And so when people think he finishes a game, goes home, gets paid, doesn't matter, it does, because like all of us, if we played for Forest, obviously I've had a few offers from Forest to play, but I've had to turn them down, unfortunately. Just because I love streaming with you guys too much, obviously. But seriously, he will go home after a loss and he'll be upset as a fan, and he will be disappointed as a player because he wants to go and win and score.
You know what, Jay? I watched that Arsenal documentary and I found it fascinating to see the players' reactions in the dressing rooms, how much they did care. And particularly like Aaron Ramsdale, even though they'd won the game, he'd let a goal in. He was. I'd love to see Forest dressing room, because I can imagine, like you say, the likes of Brennan and Yatesy and all of them probably, but those in particular, the Nottingham lads, how much they feel it.
Well, I'll just say the training rooms are very loud.
They will be devastated at any loss. They will be particularly devastated at having proved themselves able to get leads in the Premier League and then have them taken away. They'll be devastated. What upsets me the most is this idea that in front of 30,000 people analysing every move your body makes, thousands of cameras, millions watching on the TV, that somebody could just be lazy is ridiculous. Those people levelling the accusations of lazy against a Premier League footballer with all the pressure and all the scrutiny and all the intense, eyesight upon them, go and do it yourselves and then find out how you feel about somebody calling you lazy.
Particularly,
I am a super protective person about people I love, right? And I love Nottingham Forest, and I love the lads who play for us and the lads who are good enough and better than I'll ever be. because they put on the Garibaldi red. I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. So they are better human beings than me, and I will love them. Yeah, there'll be times when they need to change the side and leave them out, but you do not dehumanize somebody with some of the crap that's written on this social media.
Like Dave, like I say, particularly those lads that have stepped up and are trying to make
Joe
their way
Worrell,
in the game.
Brian Yates, Brennan Johnson seem to me to be the three. There'll be people, right, and I'm on my high horse now. There'll be people going, oh, yeah, great, Yates has had a bad game. Great, Joe Worrell's made a mistake. Great, I can go back and I can say, I told you so. And I'm like, I told you so. Get behind these lads. Support, the very definition of the word support is help. And especially when you're having a bad moment, right? So when Ryan Yates has had a bad game, or Brennan Johnson's had a bad game, or Joe's had a bad game, and they're human beings and they're not perfect, completely perfect entities, right? When that guy's if I'm having a bad day and somebody comes along and buries me, oh, what good is that going to do? None whatsoever.
Dave, you're right. This is one of my things. I never, ever, and never will boo a Forest player. A player's had a bad game, okay? We can all see it. He's having a bad game. He gets substituted, and you get fans booing. That player coming off, he knows he's had a bad game. He doesn't want to have a bad game. Yes. And he's got people giving him abuse. It blows my mind.
I've not, when we used to have, obviously, because I didn't used to go and watch Forest a hell of a lot, and that's not down to me not wanting to or anything, even during times when, particularly, I'm sure many of us didn't want to go, and, tough times for the club. It was something just based on audio, just things that you hear, and it's people to shout, that one lonely shout of someone going, you and all this kind of thing, and telling Steve Cooper what to do, and just people standing up, getting really angry and pointing at Steve Cooper. I'm like, that's something I've not seen since, Lamucci or Karanka or Warburton or before that. I'm thinking, hold on a minute. This is not something I like to see, and it's not something we've ever seen. And it started for me maybe a bit during that Tottenham game, and you started to see some cracks kind of emerging within the fan base. And do you know what? Yeah. I think as a fan base and as also content creators, which all of us are, we've got to play a role of, we've got to actually try and help out our club in terms of everything we say now could be heard by a player, could be heard by Forest, could be heard by parents of the players, and of course, I'm just going to be honest with my opinions, and I'm not going to go out to please anyone. But of course, at the same time, they're humans, and we want to try and create a positive atmosphere within the fan base because it helps on the pitch.
Yeah, what we've got to get back to, and people seem to have spectacularly short memories, is, and I go back to it, and it was such an amazing moment in the City Ground, and probably in the history of our club. The second half of the second leg of the semi-final against Sheffield United, we were awful, dreadful, and we got through it because the people who didn't have kit on the pitch played their part as an army of 30,000, all as one, right? And people now who are not happy, they're perfectly entitled to have their opinion. Let's get one thing straight. If you want to moan, you can have a moan. If you're not happy, you can be unhappy. But the team need the 12th man. We're going to need.
You know what, Dave? One of the proudest things of when we came up was the support. I was so proud of the support, and everybody was saying, "Oh, the City Ground, the support." Yeah. And all these Forest fans were saying before the season started, "Oh yeah, we'll support our team no matter what." First sign of trouble, boom.
Yeah. I mean, and the 3,000 who go to Leicester next week. I mean, I think away from home, I don't think it's a problem. I think away from home, it's almost, there's an automatic default mindset that the away contingent get into, and they kind of love the away day feeling, and they just can't help themselves.
This is against them, isn't it?
Yeah. Manchester City away, right? We were 6-0 down, and we were so brilliant that the Manchester City supporters, bless them, who are probably going to win the Champions League this year, they've got the greatest team on the planet in front of them, their team, and they chose to watch us in the away end rather than their own team. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but I just think at home, We need everybody on the same hymn sheet. I do think the players have to do their bit to kind of generate it, but it's a circular thing where we do our bit to help them do their bit to help us, and so it goes on. Do you know what I mean?
And so, there's 12 people in a football match, and we're the 12th man, woman, whatever, kid, whatever. Play your part, people. Play your part. And talking of someone that's going to play their part on the stream this evening, we've got Wolverine, who I believe, from the last I heard, was had COVID. I don't know what the situation is now, but Wolverine, it's good to have you here. Put your masks on, everybody. He's looking super comfy, isn't he, bless him?
Boys. How you doing?
I've been wondering where you were.
That is the most relaxed human being I've seen for years. Unbelievable.
Oh man, I am drugged up. I was
going
to freaking...
say
No change there.
How you all doing?
I'm well. It's good to see you though, and obviously I hope you're okay because I know you've been away for a little bit. So yeah, how's things?
Yeah, it's good, mate. It was bad Friday and Saturday, and I started to recover a bit Sunday. So I'm stuck in the bedroom. Thank God you're streaming because I'm going loop crazy here. Been watching freaking Ted Lasso, man. That's how bored I've got.
I love Ted Lasso.
No offense to AFC Richmond, by the way. I just want to say who've made it to FIFA 23. So Wolverine, you can swivel on this, but they made it to FIFA 23. Let me ask you, Wolverine. Now going into that Leicester game. Obviously, there's a potential. I would say that if anybody's going to get sacked, I don't think Cooper will get sacked. I really don't think we're close to that at this point. But Brendan Rodgers, on the other hand, I don't think he'll get sacked purely for financial reasons. But I think the temptation for him to walk would be massive. Whilst he can still potentially get a better job somewhere else, which I've got no doubt he can because he's a very good coach. But Wolverine, how are you feeling ahead of that Leicester game? There's probably going to be some big changes.
I'm nervous about the injuries that we've been picking up over the international break. I'm hearing McKenna. I don't know what's going on with Dennis, Morgan, Gibbs, White. But at the same time, it's Ania Kate as well. It's like I was excited when he went away for the Senegal match. But then he came back, didn't he, after the first game? Yeah, and I put in the comments how sexy you're looking with that top on, mate. Beautiful shirt. But yeah, so when I'm nervous, I think there will be changes. It's beautiful.
They're unlucky with injuries.
The man's got to wear the top, as they say, don't they?
We have been really unlucky with injuries. We've been unlucky because we've had Mangala out, we've had Niakate out, potentially Morgan Gibbs-White, Scott McKenna. That's 4 injuries. Dennis, you've got there potentially a 5th. That's massive losses to our team. So obviously I'm not going to ever use any excuses for a team. Obviously there's been other teams that have had their problems because of that. Who I would say perhaps I think Liverpool, they've had a lot of injuries as well. I'm not going to be sympathetic towards them. I'm not a Liverpool fan, obviously, but they've had a lot of injury problems, and we've been really unfortunate as a team that's just come up as well to have them at quite the time we really didn't need them. But obviously Richards could be coming back, Niakate coming back, and that's positive.
It is positive. I mean, once the team's together, I think we're fine. But for me, this Leicester match is a pivotal one because, Leicester, we've talked to the back teeth about Fulham and Bournemouth. It's now the problem with this Leicester match is that their season as well. They're at home. The crowd will be up for it. They think it's a rivalry, even if I don't. And I think it's going to be an intense match. I think it's going to be a high scoring match. But I don't know. This one I'm probably more worried about than the other two. I still feel the other two we should have won had we not capitulated. But this one's going to be tough. I would feel confident going into this match. Me and Ez have talked about it a million.
See, I feel about this Leicester game.
If we see a formation, can't see how we would lose.
Yeah. I would be more confident about this. I'm more confident about this Leicester match with Rodgers still in situ than if they brought somebody in.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, let me just put this to you then.
Comfortable enough for me, this back three, and not necessarily because it depends. Jay, I'm going to disconnect and come back on 4G. Give me 2 seconds because the Wi-Fi is playing up. I'll be back in 2 seconds, mate.
Okay, no worries. Sorry about that. Right, so I didn't know what was going on there. I was thinking to myself, right, I'm going to have to speak in 10 seconds in advance and hope that he stopped speaking then, so that I could make way for it. So I'll just quickly remove him from the stream, then he'll come back in a sec.
He doesn't look very well, though, does he, poor lad?
No.
He looks a bit not very well, poor lad.
Well, this is it. I mean, if you are, hopefully this stream brings a bit of joy to you during a tough time. And Dave's vanished as well now. See how it is.
Jay,
cheers, Dave.
I'm bursting for a pee, so it'll give Ez a chance to get a word in. Paul,
right, Forrest, you go. Dave, you go again. Dave, you go again, and you go again. Right, yeah, that's it. Right now, Ez, it's just me and you now, my friend. I hope you've been well. I've really missed you. Dave, don't you start appearing. I can see your head. Get out of the way, you. Dave's gone crazy now. Too many E numbers, these kids these days. But as looking at that Leicester game, don't with those dancers. I'll get demonetized for that. But looking at that Leicester game, in all seriousness, Wolverine thinks it could be quite a high scoring one. How are you feeling about that? Because I think that both teams have been leaking goals really in the defence and should be doing better. So do you think it could be high scoring, or do you think maybe we could be in for a bit of a shock draw?
Well, now I'm hoping I think it could be a high scoring game as well. I think it's going to be one of those. I think we're just going to go for each other. It's one of those where if we can keep their fans quiet, if we keep them quiet in the first 20 minutes, we could, because they're under so much pressure. They're under as much pressure as we are, if not more. So I think that's got to be part of a game plan to keep them quiet. Absorb the pressure for maybe the first 15, 20 minutes and then go for them, because the way we play is going to be all important. I know we've been going on about this formation change, but what you've all said, and one thing that I think is kind of like making me think maybe I wouldn't go with that, is playing Niakate and McKenna. You got two left footers.
True.
It kind of, there's going to be a little bit of imbalance here. Ideally, you don't drop anyone, especially not someone like McKenna, but Niakate, if we're going to do top trumps, he's probably our best defender. And then it's who we can partner with him. So if that's the ideal world, I think he's got to be the main one, and you got to find a partner for him, and then see how that works. But a part of me, I know I've been going on about switching to the back four, but away from home, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably keep with a back three away from home. Back four is only going to work if we play, in my opinion, if we play three in the middle, three ahead of them. So one holding and two. And if everyone's fit, for me, that would be, you'd have Mangala, Freuler, and O'Brien. They'd be my middle three. No disrespect to Ryan Yates. Yates is going to have to be an impact player. I think that's how we're going to get the best out of him this season.
I think he needs to have a few training sessions with some of the more experienced lads. I think that him and Jesse have been training together actually today. I don't know if any of you should have seen the video of him, Toffolo and Thingy winning a little competition in training and whatever. People pass it up, the little videos on Facebook and stuff, but they're massive. Yates being with Lingard, Yates being with Freuler. Most importantly, I think Freuler is the most important player for giving advice and experience, because Jesse's done good in the Premier League, there's no doubt, but Freuler, he's done it in the Italian League, in the Champions League. So the experience rubbing off on Ryan Yates. But as again, I do want to ask you, obviously the back four part of it is interesting, but I want to ask you, do you really think that Nico Williams is a wing back?
No, I don't think he is. And I made this point, and I don't want to harp on about it, but part of the reason we're not seeing the best out of Brennan is because we haven't seen the best out of that combination with him and Nico Williams. Not what we expected and not what we kind of were promised. I find they play far better for Wales than they do for Forest together. But what we have been missing, and it can't, and I know Anne touched on it earlier about our old loan players, but the way Jed and Brennan linked up last season gave Brennan the space to do what he did best and got him into spaces. Because more often than not, Jed had 2-3 defenders around him. You know, he'd attack defenders, and Nico, I'm not seeing that from Nico. I'm not seeing him taking defenders on, and he doesn't take them on. And that is a big thing that we're missing, I think, from the way we played last season. So if we are going to play the wing backs, you're going to have an attacking wing back who's going to take defenders on. And I agree with you, but I don't think that's Nico's best position. You guys have already said it. Lodi was a left back for Atletico Madrid. Nico's been right back most of his career. You know, back four. I'm putting them as full backs. And you've got to have. One thing that we've missed in the last couple of games, especially, is the movement in midfield, and that's got to come. Whatever we have as wing backs and full backs, that doesn't matter. If we've got no movement in midfield, and we didn't see the movement in midfield until O'Brien came on and he started asking for the ball, and he's not scared to pick up the ball. Even Yatesy was hiding against Fulham. You know, he wasn't asking for the ball. Freuler, I know people disagreed with me when I was on with Dor, but you can't play Freuler in a 2 with Yatesy. It doesn't work. And I don't know if you're going to play a 2 with Yatesy, and it's got to be O'Brien and Yatesy.
I don't know how you can disagree with that, though, because I think that you've got to put someone that, you know, obviously Ryan Yates hasn't really got much Premier experience. You've got to put someone at least, you know, of the same caliber next to Freuler, like, you know, O'Brien, or when Mangala's fit Mangala. Sure.
Yeah. The argument was that Freuler didn't do anything against Fulham, and I disagree. If you watch that game back, but 2 or 3 times he got space, little neat flicks through defenders' legs. You know, he got players in, but that's when he got the chance. He's not a tough tackling midfielder. You can't play him in that position. So that for me was a mistake from Cooper on the night to pair them two. And yes, it made Yatesy have to do two people's jobs, because Freuler isn't a defending midfielder. He's not going to support him in that way. He needs to have 2 tough tackling defenders midfielders behind him. Give him space, and he needs split second. Somebody like Morgan Gibbs White to get a 1-2 in. And if we play a 1-2 to his strengths, we'll see the best of him. But if we keep trying to get him to hold the ball up, he's gonna look bad. His confidence is gonna win. And that's the wrong way to play him. And Cooper, surely, this is my own criticism of Cooper. Surely he's had enough time in training to see that is not a 1-year game.
Well, maybe, but I mean, time in training, I suppose, doesn't necessarily, obviously, because we don't know what goes on in training, and also we don't know, you know, we don't know how the other coaches feel about playing him, and you know, obviously, there's lots of factors to take into it. How, you know, his attitude as well, we've got to think about, you know, and obviously we only get a snippet of it. But you know, you are right, and I think, you know, and I just want to say we're entering kind of the last 10 or so minutes of the stream, so I'm going to try and get some quick fire answers from all of you, because I want to get
Jamie. Yeah. I think the one that we've missed the most is Oral Mangala. If anybody who was at Goodison saw how well he kept the ball. Everton started really, really well, and then subtly Oral took the ball and kept it. He played some nice shot. He gave us some possession, and then he brought the others into the game, like Lewis O'Brien. And I think Oral has been our biggest miss, because he keeps the ball. From what I've seen of this embryonic team, Oral keeps the ball and keeps possession better than anybody else. And I think we need him.
Can I just touch on that? Because we were all there. We were at the Everton game, luckily enough, and was sat next to me. And we saw, yes, him and O'Brien dictated that midfield. But the problem was we were too scared to shoot. How many times did he get a decent position? And as soon as Yatesy came on, his first shot, it took a ricochet and, you know, went nowhere. But he set the tone, and that changed the game for us. Yes, we were controlling the midfield before that, but we weren't being a threat until Yatesy came on, started taking a shot, pushed us further up the field. So that's the thing that's missing from Mangala's game. That's why he needs somebody around him who's going to be that person taking a shot, who's going to take that responsibility, because he'll win the ball for you. He'll dominate that midfield, but he won't score you goals, and he won't get you in those. And that's what we missed. We saw the difference came on.
his goal record at Stuttgart isn't great or wasn't great. So everything you say is dead right.
But equally, there's a lot of things he does.
Does it? Because that's not his job.
But he does a lot off the ball as well. Like, you could argue that some people could say that Keenan Davis, and I'm going to get Wolverine on in a second just to get his opinions, because we're kind of edging towards the end. I've had basically no sleep these last 2 days, so I've got to cut. I had my driving lesson at 6 this morning, right? We're near on. Horrible, right? Horrible. I hope I drove okay. I
wondered what that traffic chaos was.
Oh yeah. You wondered why there was a wheel still on the curb, didn't you? Yeah, that was our wheel. But seriously though, I do think to myself, people could say, well, Keenan Davis, 5 goals for Forest. I mean, obviously, he was there since January. So he's not awful. But you've got to look at him as a forward that did a lot more off the ball as well as just scoring goals. Never forget that run that he made from almost a left-back position against Sheffield United. Never forget that run where he just barged past everyone. Samba saved that fantastic shot, and he and whatever happened was history. Do you know what I mean? So never forget that. It's not all about goals and obviously assists. Obviously, you want that, because who wouldn't want that? But Mangala does a lot off the ball, and I've never seen a player that doesn't look like Akinfenwa, be as strong as him. Do you know what I mean? So I think, the man has the power of, I'm trying not to go Partridge now, but he's got power. Seriously, because you try
did a bit.
What can I compare it to? He's got a foot like a traction engine. Do you know what I mean? He's got a foot like a traction engine.
Like I said, Jay, Dean Henderson said that, like, the player that for him was the one that came to fetch the ball when he had the ball was Mangala.
And what did we pay for him?
All others were running away. He came for the ball, and it made Henderson's job a lot easier.
12 million we paid for him, and I still think to now, I would say he's in the top 3 investments we've made in the last 10 years. And I think actually you've got to, and I'm going to get Wolverine on it, as I keep promising now, just in a moment. But I do want to say as well, I think Scott McKenna, for the £6 million that we bought him overall, I still think we're paying off the little tiny bits. I think that's got to be one of the best investments we've made in the last 10 years as well. So I'm going to chuck Scott McKenna in that top 3. But Wolverine, looking at these investments, shall we say, and I'm going to ask you all just very quick fire. Who would you say?
Wolverine will just say Jack Colback. We know that.
Right. So, okay, you can't include Jack Colback. What is your top 3 investments this season? Top 3 investments this season.
Niakate, number 1. Said at the start of the window when we got him. Still hold to that. Second player is going to be Morgan Gibbs-White. And for me, the third one, it's hard to say, because I think at the moment with a lot of us Forest fans, we are making players who haven't played better in our minds because we want to see them back on the pitch. Does that make sense? There's a lot of players, and I'm not saying the ones we're talking about aren't good enough or what have you, but we're building them up. We're building them up a bit too much, so we just got to calm that down as well. But with that said, I would say, based on what I've seen so far, it's got to be O'Brien for the third one.
So that's your 3. So, Ez, what would your 3 be?
I would have been all those, but I'd also say holding on to Brendan Johnson, getting him a new contract. I think that's probably one of our best signings as well, mate. Definitely. So, but yeah, I wouldn't disagree with any of the ones. I would have said O'Brien, Niakate, Mangala, and I'll add one more then, Dean Henderson, because I think we'll get him at the end of the season. I think we've got a good chance we'll get him. I don't think he's going to go back to Man U, that's for sure. And I think we'll be in the top seat if we can show him the love that he deserves. And he should have played for England. Pope was awful. Last night. He should have played for England. He should have got the second half against Germany. I don't know why he's bothering taking him if you're not going to give him half a game, or
because Southgate's an idiot.
Well, less said about that, the better. But I don't think England are going to do. I think Wales will do. I'm with you, mate. I'm a Wales fan as well, mate. I lived in Wales for 3 years. I love the people, and I love it. I love their away kit as well. So I'm going to get the away kit. I'm not going to buy the England kit. I thought the England kit's awful, home and away.
But you know what? I'm sick of. I just want to say I'm sick of Nike. I think they've been lazy with the World Cup. I think they've been really lazy with the World Cup kits. I just don't think there's any personality to it at all. I don't know if you've seen that Portugal kit, but that is straight out of secondary school PE kits, that is. I'm telling you, that is something we've seen in secondary school. It's one of them where it smells like rain and it just smells just horrible. It's been in the shed for about 4 years, right? You know, and it's not been washed ever. You know what I mean?
It's a very picture you paint, Jamie.
No. Oh, well, from that, and from that analysis that I've just made, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, I don't like it. I think it's a rubbish kit, and I think Adidas are much better.
You don't say.
Yeah, well, that's all I'm saying on it. And I think you were right, as I think the Brennan Johnson investment in the contract, brilliant. I really, really did like that, and I think Dean Henderson will come very good. Obviously, the third most saves in the Premier League, which is always a good sign as well. Do you like Wales more than England now, Jay? To be completely honest with you, Dor, I think most English people do. I didn't see one chair thrown the whole time I was there. So, you know what I mean? We were just playing football in the streets. So,
as someone born in Scotland who's going to be neutral this World Cup, I'm back in Wales.
Where's back Wales? I'm back in Wales. Do you know what?
You all say that until England start getting towards the semi-finals, then it'll all change.
It won't, because I still remember June last year when I was sitting there with a pint and it was brilliant in the Jolly Anglers in Beeston. I probably shouldn't say that, but in the Jolly Anglers in Beeston, right?
And a pint of lemonade.
Pint of lemonade, right? Just enjoying myself, loving life, having my England bucket hat on, which I've got somewhere around there, but that's bottom of the pile now. But and watching that semi-final, watching the final, I thought, oh, we could do this weekend. And oh my God, I thought, oh Jesus, here we go. They've scored. Right, that's it, done now. Telly's off. You know what I mean? So I've got I think this team we've got now could be one of the best generations of players and talent that we've had for decades for England. I think we've got a really, really good set of players, but you've got to bloody use them, and you've got to use them right. And for me, I don't think they're doing that at the moment. So
yeah, but you got to drop Maguire. How's Maguire still getting in that team? God,
Southgate's an idiot.
I'm sorry, the guy's awful. He's awful.
Southgate's an idiot.
Before we go on, because I feel a United tangent coming up. I feel a United tangent coming up. I know Ez loves it, but Forrest Dan, tell me your 3 best investments this season. There's 24 to choose from. You know
what? We still have yet to see. I mean, there's Freuler, who could be. We don't know. There's Dennis, who could be. But from what we've seen so far, it was dead easy. It was Nakate, Mangala, O'Brien. But Ez chucked one in there with Dean Henderson that's kind of fooled me. So I'm going 4.
The only thing I'd say about Henderson, right? The only reason I don't put him in there, even though I think he's good, I know it's going to sound weird, but there are other goalkeepers. I mean, if Hennessy came in, I don't think he'd do a bad job.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I agree.
So that's why I don't put him in the top 3 category.
But Wolverine, from what we could have got, Henderson is pretty up there. You not agree?
Yeah, but I reckon we could have got Bert Leno instead of Fulham, and I think he's pretty good.
Leno's a good keeper.
Well, Dave, let's go for yours. Now, I will just bear in mind to you, I am looking to get sleep, right? So, what time are we on?
Well, I'm not going to bed, Jamie, until 4:30 in the morning. So
Jamie, you can bugger off.
My 3 read.
I'll fire a stream up and I'll just put you on it.
Based on the body of work put before me to this juncture, Moussa Niakate is my number 1.
Love it.
Oral Mangala will be number 2, and I'm going to break the rules by having 4. My other 2 are Lewis O'Brien. Lewis O'Brien, I think, is really doing well and settling and improving before our eyes. And I have to pick Morgan Gibbs-White because the guy has an X factor. And in the Fulham game, and I go back to that early part of the second half in that Fulham game, if his little tricks, which will come off, had come off against Fulham, he put Brennan through the very first minute of the second half. Brennan, a bit of a touch. That goes 2-0. Our conversations might all be different. And I think Morgan Gibbs-White, when Morgan Gibbs-White gets the ball, my bottom twitches and I have to get it off the seat and stand up. He's that good, and he's burgeoning. I reckon by the time the World Cup comes, Morgan Gibbs-White will have really caught fire. I really believe in this guy. Steve believes in this guy. He was the one guy he chased more than any. So I think Morgan Gibbs-White is going to be, and he's got a really nice way. But if you see him off, doing his videos with Jesse Lingard and the others, he's a really good character. But I don't think team spirit's an issue. I just think it's technical know-how at an elevated level. And going back to international football, I honestly don't think there's a good international football team around at the moment. I think the World Cup is 32 very mediocre teams. Germany, they didn't knock my socks off. Italy didn't even qualify. They won the group.
France have only won one out of the last 6.
France have won one out of the. Brazil are just an ordinary team now. The mythology of Brazil has gone.
They're playing yellow.
Argentina won the Copa America, and it was a pretty poor tournament. And I think the World Cup is wide open. And England, it might be a great generation. I think it's a decent generation attacking wise, but it's a poor generation defensively. And I think.
Why do we concentrate on defending then?
No, I think England are going to struggle. I think they'll probably beat Iran, but I think they're going to find it difficult against the Americans. And Wales are the most dangerous opponent England could face, because Wales will think we can knock these over, because there's this traditional England-Wales rivalry, whether it's rugby union or whatever. And I think England. I actually think England. I don't think there's ever been an exciting England team. 66, they weren't particularly exciting. They were the wingless wonders. When has there ever been an England international team that we all went, oh, do you remember them? They were amazing. It's never happened. We are, and I'm coming around to saying we're the most overrated football nation on.
I don't know if that's harsh, Dave, because I remember.
I agree.
I remember Euro '96, and when we smashed Holland.
You don't remember the group stages at the start, then, Ez.
That's the only time England.
I remember it all.
Yeah, that's the only time. That Holland game is the only time.
Alan Shearer hadn't scored for so many games, and the pressure was on, and we drew that first game. I remember against Switzerland, wasn't it?
And then the penalty where the ball moves against Scotland changed.
I put something out on Twitter that said, if the FA had any brains and balls, they'd sack Southgate now. They'd give Klopp or Pep 10 million quid just for those 6 weeks, and England would be a far better, more exciting team under Klopp.
Are Klopp and Guardiola going to drop down the level from Manchester City or Liverpool? I mean, if England played in the Premier League, I actually think Forest now would beat England. I really do.
Give Pep or Klopp.
They wouldn't take the
10 million quid for those 6 weeks. Just for those 6 weeks. You would see a
difference.
They still won't win it.
Do you think either of those would pick Maguire?
It's taken Pep longer than 6 weeks to get that Man City team the way it is, and it's taken Klopp a lot longer than 6 weeks. So I think that's a bit harsh. But but yeah, I don't think we're going to do. I think Wales are going to do better than us in the World Cup, and I'm behind. I'm behind the Red Dragons, mate. I'm gonna.
Well, listen, gents. I'm going to say for David Asprey, right?
David Asprey.
This is it.
Let's face it. We all just want the bloody thing over with and get back to the Premier League.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not. This
is
the least interested I've been in a World Cup ever. I just want to say, I think 2010.
That's because you're only 17, Jay. If you're as old as me and Jay, we've had lots of these.
Oh, but 2010 World Cup, South Africa, right? I would say that was wicked. I mean, I was only 5 at the time, but watching that in the front room was awesome.
There's only been one great World Cup. One great World Cup, 1970.
I knew you were going to say that.
Pele. Your age there, Dave.
Honestly, Wolverine, mate, I am a lot older than I look, mate. Honestly.
But why did we lose?
I look worse than you do, mate. And you look ill.
We were 2-0 up against Germany. And lost 3-2.
Yeah. And the semi-finals, Brazil beat Uruguay 3-1, playing some of the greatest football you'll ever see. The other semi-final, Italy beat Germany 4-3 in the game of the century. And then the final, I mean, Brazil scored 19 goals in 6 games. I've got a video.
4-1 to Brazil.
98 World Cup, the birth of Zidane for me was the greatest World Cup.
Yeah, that would be a decent one.
You
Yeah.
could tell the ages now, can't you? Me
Yeah,
and
because
Dave
I'm just completely left out of this. I've got no
me in
idea.
1998 and Jay 2010.
I can tell you about the back end of the Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard era. Which,
Vuvuzela.
yeah.
Oh,
Chris,
God.
I can tell you about Chris Smalling. I can tell you about Chris Smalling.
Me and Dave are
Chris
just a
Smalling.
little bit too young for 66.
Actually, and I remember Montevideo, 1930, Argentina and
Uruguay won it. Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Right. So before we send you all back to the dark ages, everyone, I am going to have to call. this. I'm going to have to call it a night. But before I do, I do just want to mention, as Nick points out, that I've been nominated for a award at the Football Content Awards. If you do want to vote, please do. It's on my Twitter. I'm Jamie Martin. You can just
Are you up against Wolverine?
Space there. I mean, yeah.
I'm still not young enough, man. I'm still not young enough.
He's still not young enough to get this. So I do appreciate if you can vote for me over Wolverine. Stop creating a new category, you. He's the best young creator. That's what I heard.
I'll bleach my hair tomorrow, mate.
He's the best creator who podcasts from his bed.
He's getting a Phil Foden haircut, is what I've heard. Phil Foden 2021 haircut. That's what
I'll look 17 again.
Not the best look.
Well, listen, I mean, guys, it's been absolutely amazing to be back streaming. It's been 3 weeks since the last stream. Sorry, I'm just going to have to try and get a mask on for that moment. He coughed then. But seriously, it's been good. It's been good to have you all back. You guys, I love you all. And everybody listening and watching and also messaging, thank you all for your kind comments. We'll be back very soon. Pleased to say I'll be doing an interview with Matchday with Max as well soon, just talking a little bit about Forest and some of the stuff that he does. And then obviously we've got the interview with Michael Dawson, which is the main one that is in the works at the moment and we are arranging. So I'll keep you up to date. Ez is having a vape now, so it's time. This is time. He needs his Nicky Rush. Look, he needs it. He's tired. He's stressed. And we all need rest, don't we? So listen, gents, it's been amazing. Dave, I know you don't need rest, but I do. I'm not a machine like you, my friend. I am not a machine. I've got to go.
He's got school in the morning, hasn't he? He's got to get out.
What, Dave? Dave's got school
in the morning. He's got school in the morning.
Well, listen, gents, it's been amazing. Let's all give our waves to everybody listening. Thank you all for joining.
Get well soon, Wolverine.
Get well soon, Wolverine. Thank you all very much.
Get well soon, mate.
Have a fantastic evening. See you all again soon. See you later, guys. Goodbye.
Cheers, lads.
Bye.